So one of the biggest fears players in the Tiny Tourney will be dealing with is Kartana, the only Ultra Beast allowed in the Tiny Tourney. With access to an exceptionally powerful physical attack and speed stat, this is probably one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous Pokemon within the tournament. With this Pokemon in mind, we need a team of Pokemon to counter it. A team and strategy that makes use of a roster I like to call the Intimidation team. So as you can guess by the team name, the theme of this team is to pretty much counter Kartana, one of the most dangerous Pokemon that's going to be found in the Tiny Tourney. It's probably going to be on some of the most popular teams. It's going to be a Pokemon that you're going to have to deal with. You just have no choice. It's just too powerful, too dangerous, it's just too versatile, and it's going to be on most teams no matter what. So the first thing we're going to have to deal with is that massive physical attack power, as well as that speed. Kartana is very dangerous, no doubt about it. I'm not gonna stop talking about how dangerous it is. If you underestimate this Pokemon in any way, you will be steamrolled by it. It will just destroy you. It will bulldoze its way through your team, and it won't even give you a second's chance to realize what is going on in the battle. So from the list of all the Pokemon on this that allowed in the Tiny Tourney, there are some Pokemon that can deal with it, but this team lineup that I'm going to show you, as well as the strategy, is going to be geared towards specifically to counter Kartana. But at the same time, the team lineup I'm showing you is capable of doing other things besides countering specifically Kartana. It's versatile, it has many things going for it, and you can use it for pretty much any team roster, but it's geared specifically towards countering Kartana, in particular the strategy I'm about to show you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is have a really fast electric type Pokemon that knows the move Volt Switch. Or you can run a Pokemon that uses the move U-Turn, but that's a physical attacking move, and we want to maximize our attack potential. So a Pokemon like Jolteon here, which has a very high speed stat, much stronger than or much faster than Kartana's, a really strong special attack to go with it, and of course the move Volt Switch. You're gonna want Volt Switch in particular for this team lineup, simply because you're gonna want to switch this Pokemon out as soon as possible while dealing damage. So the next Pokemon, the partner Pokemon, because this is after all a doubles format, you're going to want an Intimidate Pokemon. This is going to be the strategy. The first Intimidate Pokemon you set up is going to be sent out to intimidate that Kartana as fast as possible. So once you have the first Intimidator off or set on the field, you need to make sure that your Intimidator switches out first. You don't want to, have it U-turn out. You want to manually switch it out into your second Intimidate Pokemon, a Pokemon like Mightyena. So the reason why you're doing this is to get as many Intimidates off and give your opponent as little time as possible, or little opportunity as possible, to boost their attack with their Kartana. So if done properly, the first thing you're going to do is manually switch out your Pokemon like Luxio here into your Mightyena to get 2 Intimidates off. That will be 2 Intimidates in the first turn. Before any other Pokemon have made their moves, you'll have intimidated the Kartana or any other physical attacking Pokemon with 2 Intimidates. Now, normally that would be more than enough to, shut down any Pokemon, but remember, Kartana is very dangerous. With that huge 181 attack stat, it can still run even with Intimidates being pushed onto it. So the next thing you're going to want to do is, remember when I talked to you about the Volt Switch? When Jolteon Volt Switches out, you're going to want to take that Volt Switched Pokemon and put in your first Intimidate Pokemon. So again, before any Pokemon have made their moves, you'll have used 3 full Intimidates, as well as done damage to the opponent, reducing their physical attack stats by 3 stages, done some special attack damage, and basically completely shut down any physical attacking Pokemon. So that is the strategy. Step 1, you have your Volt Switcher and your first Intimidate Pokemon on the field. Second, you switch your first Intimidate Pokemon into your second Intimidate Pokemon so that you can get 2 Intimidates off before any Pokemon have set up. The third step, when you have Volt Switched your first Pokemon, your Volt Switcher, in this case Jolteon again, you want to put in your first Intimidator. So basically this is geared towards shutting down physical attacking Pokemon, keeping them from making use of their attack power, and forcing the opponent to spend a turn to switch them out if they want to get their attack stats back to normal. But so that's the strategy. So it's 3 Pokemon geared towards shutting down a single attack stat, a single Pokemon in that regard. So that is a very, very dangerous strategy if you are running a physical attacking Pokemon and you have to deal with this. It's very hard to get your attacks off and get some damage done if you're constantly being intimidated. So that's the reason why you see Luxio and Mightyena here. These are 2 Pokemon that are allowed in the competition and also are capable of using the Intimidate ability. For their movesets, they have some very interesting moves. In particular, Mightyena. Mightyena has access to quite a number of moves, in particular the Elemental Fang moves. He can also use Crunch to deal some damage. He can also use Snarl if he wants to, to deal some respectable damage for special attack, even though that's not his specialty. But he can also lower special attacks. That's what Snarl is used for. He also has access to moves such as Play Rough, Sucker Punch, Takedown if he wants to go for some massive damage. Basically all geared towards dealing some heavy damage and specializing in areas that our team is weak to or aren't covering particularly. So since we are running 2 electric type Pokemon, we're going to be really weak to those ground types. But Luxio here and Mightyena as well, with their Intimidates and their abilities, they should be enough to handle any difficult strategies. And also because they're both capable of using the move Roar, they should be able to deal with any Pokemon that are trying to set up if they want to set up. And they also have some access to some very powerful moves, as well as Night Slash, Ice Fang, Quick Attack. If you're going for some priority moves, you also have access to double kick. I'm not sure about double kick actually, but Fire Fang as well. Basically moves that are geared towards covering our bases so that we can deal as much damage as possible, as well as protecting our Pokemon. Speaking of helping our team out, we want to use a Pokemon such as Murkrow here. Murkrow is probably one of the most underused Pokemon, or maybe one of the most underused Pokemon, simply because it doesn't exactly have a lot of good stats going for it besides its attacks and its speed. So what we're going to be using Murkrow here is for the Prankster ability. And we're going to be using our Prankster mostly for these special attacks such as Taunt. We want priority Taunts, we want priority Tailwinds, we want priority Mean Looks if we want to keep the Pokemon from switching out. That's also a good way. We also want to make use of the move Quash. So for those people who don't know, Quash is a move when it hits a Pokemon, it makes them move last, regardless of their speed. So they will go last. So we want to use that for Pokemon like Kartana. If we have a really slow Pokemon, for example, if we're running Mightyena, he doesn't have the speed to outspeed Kartana. But if we have Murkrow on the same field alongside our Mightyena, we can use Quash to force Kartana to move last, allowing our Mightyena to go for, say, a Firium Z Fang move to burst down Kartana, deal as much damage as possible, probably knock it out before it has a chance to do anything. So that's one thing we can use Murkrow for on this team. So the next Pokemon we're going to look for is probably one of the most dangerous, simply because of its typing nature, and that's going to be Sableye. With the only weakness it has being fairy type Pokemon, Sableye as well also has the ability Prankster as well. So getting started there. But it also has access to an even greater variety of Prankster boosting moves, such as, let's see, it gets access to Will-O-Wisp, a very good move if we want to shut down physical attackers, again geared towards shutting down Kartana, geared towards shutting down those physical attacking Pokemon. It has access to moves like Knock Off to take out those Eevee-like Pokemon such as Porygon 2 that you also know will be winning Pokemon like that. It also has access to Fake Out if we want to, you know, stop some Pokemon from setting up or trying to do some silly shenanigans, as well as access to other priority moves such as Shadow Sneak to get some last minute damage, and it also has access to Quash as well. So again, if we want to shut down really fast Pokemon, Prankster Quash is the best way to get the job done. So for our last Pokemon is probably gonna be a rather surprising pick. It's gonna be Oricorio, and we're gonna be going for the Bale style. So Bale style Oricorio is a fire flying dance Pokemon, and we can make use of its really strong speed and special attack to go for some really strong moves, especially for moves if we're going to, oh my goodness, I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but Revelation Dance, we can go for that. We can go for moves such as Mirror Move as well, Hurricane, just basically doing what we can to shut down Pokemon and keep them from doing things. We can go for like Feather Dance to, again, decrease Pokemon's attack stats. Yeah, once again, lowering the physical attack stat by 2 stages. So that's another thing we can do. We can also go for Baton, or not Baton Pass, but Helping Hand to increase, you know, burst damage attacks that we want. Air Slash to deal some flinch damage if possible. Again, we can go for a Mirror Move. I believe I spoke about that. And just basically doing what we can to keep our opponents from doing as much physical attack damage as possible. So those are just my suggestions for the team. We're going to go through them once again. We're going to have our Jolteon here. We're going to have Jolteon. He's going to be the Volt Switch Pokemon. We're going to have Luxio, or any Intimidate Pokemon will do, but I'm going to pick Luxio for this because it's got a really strong physical attack set, some decent move pools as well. We're going to also have Mightyena here for his Intimidate, as well as his versatile Fang moves, for elemental Fang moves that he has access to. Murkrow for the hidden ability Prankster, to set up Tailwinds, use Taunts, go for Quashes, just basically be a nuisance. We can also go for a Sableye for the same thing, for the Prankster priority Will-O-Wisp. Recovers, for example, we can go for Fake Out, Shadow Sneaks, Knockoffs, and also Quash as well. And finally, Oricorio fires to deal with Kartana and just shut down any of those Steel type Pokemon that are going to be prevalent. Steel types like Kartana, and basically just doing all we can to shut down physical attacking Pokemon and keep them from doing as much damage as they can. So I hope you guys take use make use of these Pokemon on this team, as well as the strategy that I told you about earlier. I hope you guys also enjoyed this team lineup, and I hope I will see you Tacticians next time. Bye bye.